Hello friends, Pat here, and today I am doing the review of the PG348Q G-Sync 100Hz IPS curved monitor. What a mouthful and what a monitor it is. This, my friends, is a very beautiful monitor and a very striking design that has can work for it and sometimes cannot. So let's get into it. Let's get into what makes this monitor special. Well, while I'll rattled off some specs there, it is G-Sync, so it is basically for folks who have the Nvidia lineup of cards, which makes it a smaller market again. The next thing that makes it a smaller market is the fact that it's almost 4K, not quite yet. It's 3440 by 1440. You're going to be running a lot more pixels, so your graphics card or your computer really needs to be good. Because if you're buying this, you also know that it's got 100 Hz. That means you're either going to be playing fast-paced games or want those high frame rates, which really means you're gonna need a lot of power to get those high frame rates at those high resolutions. The next selling point, I suppose, is the curve. A very subtle curve that I feel doesn't add too much that I've noticed. However, I'll touch upon why it is actually quite fun to use. And of course, it's ultra wide, which is 21:9 aspect ratio. A very big difference from, 16:9, which ends around here. So a standard monitor is just shy. So you're getting that much extra at a 34-inch size. The next thing that might hold you back, or might not depending on your situation, is the price. At 1,800 Australian dollars from PLE, this is an extremely expensive monitor. You cannot go higher than that, really, when you go on gaming computers. This is the most expensive monitor you can get. But why would you buy it? I think if you're buying something like this, it's not about the money, it's about the experience. So what I'm going to talk about is the experience of using this monitor for two things. First of all, my experience in using it for video editing, like making these videos, and of course gaming. What I found and I loved about this 21:9 ratio is the amount of space I could get with Adobe Premiere. With video editing, I was able to spread my workload out a lot further than I could with the 16:9 ratio, because I could add literally another column where all my timeline, my items that I was dragging in and dropping were just easily accessed, which made making videos a lot quicker. So first of all, that is the best selling point for myself, was that I was able to work a lot quicker. Browsing websites and things like that didn't really change for me, especially when the fact that I had two white areas on Facebook, for example, or any other website, it didn't really change much in the sense that I was getting more done. But I could, of course, drag it to one side, put the other page on the other side, and do multitasking, like maybe watch an episode here, Netflix, and be on a website reading through something. So that is a bit positive, and you get a lot more real estate with this monitor, meaning you can seem to fit a lot more on it, and the resolution makes it really clear. So a big bonus. Now, what you can do is go out and get just a big widescreen monitor. You don't have to get this one, because this is aimed at gamers. Gamers will benefit from the other features of this monitor, which is this G-Sync and 100 Hz. And also sort of the widescreen aspect, which I'll touch upon in a minute. First of all, G-Sync, if you don't know about it, it's Nvidia's way of making the frames fit the exact time they show up in the graphics card to the monitor, so matching the refresh rate and the frames, meaning you're not going to get any of those little slices you sometimes get when the frame rates does not match the refresh rate. And also, of course, it's high refresh rate. Now, at 100 Hz, and if your game is running at 100 frames, it's very smooth. It's much smoother than a 60, so going from 60 frames to 100 is a big difference. From 100 to 144, not so much. But for myself, coming from a 144 Hz monitor, I actually did notice the difference, and my heart sank a little bit. I had to say, I was like, oh, the bit of pain there When I was used to running Battlefield 4 at 125, going down to 100 for Battlefield 1 wasn't actually as smooth as I thought. I thought the 25 frames didn't make that much difference, but it did. It was very minuscule, a bit noticeable in fast-paced games, but that's it. This could be a very good monitor for Dota-type games, MOBAs, things like Star Wars games where you can run it at 60 and not really worry about unless you're in multiplayer. And of course Tomb Raider, which I loved playing Tomb Raider on this monitor. Absolutely stunning. I mean, the colors, the frame rates, the G-Sync, it was beautiful. And that 21:9 aspect ratio really made me immerse in the game. So what happens when you have 21:9 and curvature is that your field of view is a bit more, is wider, and it fits a lot better. Widescreen is good. Ultra wide I think is great. However, the problem which I mentioned before would be the fact that not many games support 21:9 aspect ratio. Most new ones do, so if you get an old game like Age of Empires or Battlefield 1942, it doesn't support it, even though those ones don't even support widescreen. StarCraft 2, for example, does not support 21:9 aspect ratio. I believe it's for competitive reasons, but I completely disagree because games like Heroes of the Storm works perfectly. Now, does that curve really matter? When you see a big screen TV have a curve and you're sitting around the couch, I believe that's absolute marketing bullshit. If you are not in the exact spot in front of the TV in a certain distance, that curvature is going to give you nothing at all. On the other hand, monitors that are personal monitors, like one that you sit on in front of it by yourself, that, my friends, is what I think curved monitors are best for. Curvature, anything, not TVs, nothing like that. Drop that shit, make him flat. Nobody is ever going to enjoy it when you've got a couch, 2 people, 3 people sitting in a place. None of them are going to get the benefit of that curve going around and immersing you. On a single monitor, you do, and I have to say, up until that point, I thought all curved monitors and TVs were crap. Now, I feel a lot different. This was so immersive that I forgot that there was, anything to my side, anything up top and bottom, because even though it's shorter, I still I felt very more immersed with the wideness rather than the tallness. And I'll explain that in my review over here of the 4K monitor LG sent me, and why I think 4K is a whole different beast. Anyway, I'll compare them both in a more gaming fashion. Back to this monitor, however. With the price comes a lot of features. The G-Sync, 100Hz, the curved, and the size 34 inches. I think 34 inches personally is a very good size. I did see that LG also brought out a 38 144Hz IPS monitor soon. This month coming, they'll be released, and I really want to check it out. But there's an inherent problem with having high resolution monitors and high frame rates. If you have 4K and you want to get high frame rates, 60 is what you can get at the moment. I think you can go up a little bit further there, but 75 or so. At 60 Hz, you have to have a beast of a computer to run 60 frames at 4K. With this, however, you're a bit lower than 4K and you get a bit of a, wider screen rather than just a 16:9 aspect ratio, and you're running about 3/4 of 4K, about 3K, which is a lot easier to hit those high frame rates. Which is why I think this monitor is a much better choice if you're a gamer and you want more pixels and you have a beast, and ultra wide screen monitors is something you'd like to check out, then I would completely ignore 4K gaming at the moment. There's no hardware out there right now that will give you extremely high frames at 4K. Let's be honest, at this point in time, there just isn't any point to do it. Even though you can get 60 frames at 4K, you're not going to get that smooth, fluid motion you get with high refresh rate monitors. What makes this monitor also special is the fact that it's IPS, but it's also its downfall because the response rate of gray to gray is actually quite high compared to other monitors. Even IPS monitors with high refresh rates. This one is about 1 or 2% slower than the other competing monitor. The thing with it is though, the IPS really makes it a great monitor for gaming and design work and obviously editing. The colors are absolutely beautiful on this 8-bit panel. On the other hand, movie watching on this monitor is absolutely stunning. You cannot get away from the fact that it is 21:9, which is what most movies are natively filmed at. And if you get your VLC player to remove those black bars from top and bottom, then you have a full screen experience. And guys, watching Star Wars on this monitor was absolutely awesome. Now let's move into the negatives of this monitor, because most of the things I've mentioned were actually quite positive. Things that you would choose against when you're choosing different monitors. Obviously, the price is the first negative. It is a very expensive monitor, but if price isn't an issue, the next worst thing is I think the design is a little bit annoying, to be honest. To get to the cables in the back, you have to take off a big plastic plate, which means if you want to add some things as you go, like the USB that's located in the back, hello, how's that gonna work if there's a bloody plastic plate in the way and lots of other cables? You're not gonna get to it. Please do not add USB ports in the back of monitors. If you remove the USB ports and it makes it cheaper, please do. The next thing is, I suppose, these speakers are absolute shite. Please remove them. What's the point of having speakers that are crap? If you're gonna add speakers, please make them decent. And I don't really think there is any point to adding speakers to a monitor like this, because the person who's gonna be buying it probably already has a very nice set of headphones or speakers on their table and will just completely ignore this. And that's what I did. As soon as it popped up, I clicked disable on the sound audio hardware and forgot about it. I did use it for 5 minutes just to check it out, and it was terrible. Terrible speakers. So please, remove speakers, remove the USB, and we'll get on well. Now, back to that design I was speaking about. It's very industrial. As you can see, it's got a bit of chrome, a bit of copper color, very silver, dark silver. I like the dark silver, and the thin bezels are really nice. As you can see, the bezel itself is thin, but there is a bit of black gap there just where the screen starts, but the glass itself goes all the way up to the edge. It's non-reflective, which means if you have a light in the background, you're not really going to get that much reflection, but this monitor, gaming on it, is best in complete darkness when you can't really see all the outside and you get quite immersed in that widescreen view. Cable management is pretty shoddy at best. As you can see, there's a lot of wires just coming down here. There's nowhere really to hide it as it comes out of there and I have to pull it around, so I could probably hinge it on something up there. But for example, my last monitor had a gap in the middle just behind the monitor so I could run the cables through, which could hide it better. The other thing is those 3 legs. Very solid legs. However, that back leg is kind of annoying for myself when my desk is against the wall. So when I can't move it back further than that. And this is a big screen. You have to sit a little bit further away just to not hurt your eyes. And to be honest, I haven't really felt the pain, but I thought at first I should move it back, and I couldn't because that 3rd leg at the back was just a little bit too far out. And if I push it any further, it'll go over the little edge. Not that it's going to fall because it's against the wall. But for someone who, for example, has a desk that has no wall behind it, I would be extremely careful about putting this monitor on the edge, as that leg is very small and it's only 3. If one of them goes down, the whole monitor goes down and your $1,800 monitor will be goners. Now, ASUS makes high quality products in general, and this is no difference. The only issues I have seen from production is the back bleed on the IPS, which is pretty stock standard with IPS monitors. You get a bit of bleed up here and here and here and here, but that only happens when it's in complete off mode, or rather there's black on the screen and it's just trying to illuminate a little bit, so there's a bit of bleed there. So if you see that, guys, it's not particularly ASUS's fault. And actually the screen itself, the panel, is an LG panel. So this and the Acer X34 has the same panel. So guys, if you're choosing between the 2 monitors, really it's the same panel, and then you're sort of choosing the brand and who it's going to work with, either NVIDIA or FreeSync. So that's again up to you in that choice. If the X34 I think had a very much more interesting design, very sleek, but I did feel that this was better constructed, and the metal was a bit more solid. I did check out the X34 in shop, and I sort of decided that the ASUS would probably be a better choice. As you can also see, it has a little feature here that illuminates an ROG logo, and it's just a bit of, again, a bit of marketing there. If that wasn't there, I would not have noticed, and I would have been happy if it was gone to save on the cost. Again, I feel like some of the extras that were added on were just there to spice things up, to make it a little bit different than that other monitor, but I don't think it actually made it sell better. I think if it was a lower price, it would sell much better. Then again, I have noticed that stocks of this monitor in Australia have been really, really low and actually kind of hard to get. The question is, should you buy this monitor? Well, if you can afford it and you're after some high refresh rate, G-Sync, ultra widescreen gaming, and you really want to spend the money, then yes, this is a fantastic monitor. Even coming from somebody who had a high refresh monitor, this is still good at 100 Hz. And the widescreen curvature of a 34-inch monitor is just really, really mind-blowing, to be honest. And I feel that ultra-wide monitors should be the future, and I hope they do become the future. And at the moment, I kind of guess that they aren't going that way, because ultra-wide is a great way to game and to use. In productivity, it is a great, great benefit. Now, before I go, guys, there's a few little things I should mention. This monitor can go up and down, so don't know why you'd want it that low, but it can go all the way up to this height, which is the max, which is what I have it in. It will not twist left and right, which is, it makes sense. It just hit the ground, but it also makes putting cables in a little bit more difficult. And also, I suppose, the monitor is quite large, so you do have to have a large space. So that's something to take into consideration. Guys, thank you very much for watching. My nose is now red because I was up in the roof running some cables through for another project. But thank you for watching. Leave me a comment letting me know what you think of this monitor, and I'll see you in the next video.